He is soon to get ready. He's getting ready for his 10th season calling Monday Night Football for the worldwide leader in sports on ESPN, where he hosted the Masters coverage, spent a couple of days in Butler Cabin, also called the par 3 contest for the Masters on ESPN. He's a longtime good friend. Mike Tirico back on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Mike?
Hello, longtime good friend. How are you?
I am fine. And also, you were on SportsCenter last night. You co-anchored SportsCenter with Buchagras last night, Mike.
I did. I started the morning on Sunday in Augusta and did some stuff down there for SportsCenter in the morning, and then flew, commercially, of course, up to Connecticut and got in 6 o'clock or so and did the 11 after the Red Sox and Yankees, which was the first time I've done SportsCenter in about 12 years, so it was a blast.
Because, again, I remember doing one with you shortly before I left, and
right.
I've been gone 12 years.
Wow.
So,
wow.
You know,
not too far. You may have been my last, Rich.
Wow. What was your first? When was your first SportsCenter, Mike?
Oh my gosh, it was mid-July of 1991. I'm coming up on 25 years here next year.
Oh.
91 with Jim Bergamo or Ann Montgomery. One of those two. I forget which one, but that's who I did my early SportsCenters with before working for a few years with Chris Myers.
So Chris was the one that you did most of your SportsCenters with, that you were paired with, would you say?
Yes, Chris. And then when Chris started doing Baseball Tonight a little bit in the early 90s and then started filling in on the 11 o'clock, I started to work with Carl Ravitch and Linda Cohn, and then you and Stu came kind of after us, and we all moved around. At that one time there, which is really cool when you look back, you were there, Stewart, Ravi, Linda, Chris Myers, Gary Miller, Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Bob Lee, Charlie Steiner, Robin Roberts. I'm forgetting one or two.
Kilborn, you can't forget Kilborn.
Kilborn. I meant Dan, right? Dan was the godfather of the whole group. DP. It was an awesome time, and to see what everyone has gone on to. I mentioned Bob Lee, I think. To mention what everybody has gone on to do 15, 18, almost 20 years later, it's pretty cool to look back and see that was a great group of people together. Mike
Tirico joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into the Spieth of it all. I mean, that was incredible. Where does Jordan Spieth's performance at age 21 on that stage and going wire to wire for the first time since Ray Floyd did it, a record that he broke as well, his 36-hole record. Where does this rank in terms of what you've seen, Mike Tirico?
It's up there, Rich, because of the age. And, you know, for the sport that we cover all the time as well, the NFL, I'm thinking of Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck walked in and knew it. He knew the part. He knew his place. He knew what to say, what not to say, how to react. Situations didn't appear as if they were, hey, it's his first time through. You know, he'll get more experience at this. He had it figured out right away. And I see the same thing in Jordan Spieth when he gets to Augusta and has been in contention from the time he hit his first tee shot in a Masters round. Think about this, Rich. 8 rounds played at the Masters. After one of the rounds, he was 12th. After one, he was 3rd. After one, he was 2nd. The other 5 times he's played in a competitive round of the Masters, he's left the golf course as the leader, including the champion after yesterday. That's pretty incredible stuff for your first 8 rounds at the biggest tournament in golf.
Mike Tirico joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So the question is this rivalry is between him and McIlroy. We're already hearing that, right? That this is what we're going to see. This is the Tiger, and then versus fill in the blank. This is the time when Nicklaus and Watson were going at it. Are we getting ahead of ourselves a little too much here, Mike, or is this really what we're seeing materialize in the 21st century?
Well, of course, we live our lives ahead of ourselves. So we are ahead of ourselves in that regard. But it's got every part of the story you need to get that payoff in major championships for the next 5 to 10 years. You know, for all the talk about Tiger and Phil in a rivalry, we really didn't have a lot of Tiger and Phil head-to-head with nobody else in the mix in the back 9 on Sunday at a major. That really hasn't happened very often, if at all. These guys give us the opportunity because their age is so close, and they've had early success. At 21 and 25, and reverse the order, because McIlroy is 1 in the world rankings this morning and Spieth is 2. we've never had two players this young at the top of the world rankings, which date back to '86. So they have the chance, if they stay healthy, if they stay on course, to be a rivalry for the next decade. One is from America, one's from the UK. It has everything you would need to give the game the injection, I think, that it needed after the post-Tiger Mania.
Tell me something about Spieth I don't know, Mike.
Since 14, had this figured out. Comfortable, confident. He's an old soul in a lot of ways. Sister diagnosed on the autism spectrum, special needs, very humbled and tight family. Brother plays basketball at Brown, so a great athletic family. But they just belong. They had you saw them after he won at 18. They just have a very comfortable way about them. You don't feel like they're manufactured. You feel like they're just kind of doing what they would be doing as parents or as his friends. He seems really normal. And the times I've been around him, he fits that bill. So look, success changes everybody. It has to, because Jordan Spieth can't pull into a drive-thru anymore and get food because they'll know who he is. So you hope that all the trappings around, he's able to retain that just common nature to himself and continue to succeed. I give him a great chance to also.
No kidding, huh? So this really is the beginning. This really is the beginning for Jordan Spieth.
I'm buying. If we're selling, I'm buying.
Me too. What's it like broadcasting from Butler Cabin, Mike? What's that like?
It is really cool. The Masters is the golf tournament that we all watched growing up. And my uncle, my dad wasn't a part of my life growing up. My uncle was my golf influence, and we'd watch the Masters on Sunday like so many families and so many sports fans. And for years it was Musburger down in Butler Cabin, sometimes Jack Whitaker, and then Jim Nance has done it for a long stretch here. And when I started covering golf, we covered the Masters for SportsCenter. But the last 8 years to go to work there and be in that place where for the last 50 years, the most important championship in the sport is won, the winner of the Masters tournament. It's pretty humbling. It's pretty cool. What I love, Rich, is the reaction of the golfers when they walk in if we interview them on Thursday and Friday, because unless you're the low-am or you win or you have a good round Thursday, Friday, you don't normally come down to Butler Cabin. And you walk in and there's the picture of Bobby Jones and there's the picture of Clifford Roberts. And you can see in your mind's eye the jacket going across the shoulders of all those champions before. So it brings excitement. It's a really nice office to say, I work there a couple of days a year.
And then of all the great shots that we saw in the tournament, certainly over the weekend with Spieth and his short game and his putting, some of the great moments that we saw, you perhaps called the greatest moment of this Masters week when Jack aced the fourth hole on the par 3. We were watching that live, Mike, and we all jumped out of our respective seats, could not believe what we saw, and it just took everybody back to the time. I mean, nobody can hit that Wayback Machine quite like Jack Nicklaus, as we've seen on the course. What was this like for you when you were calling this moment, Mike?
Well, Andy North is so close with Jack, and he was with Curtis Strange and me calling the action. And Andy just started screaming, and those two started screaming like little kids, which was really cool. And they've won multiple major championships. And that gives you a sense of what Jack's place in the sport is. Look, I don't know what the argument is to who's the greatest football player. We can have long conversations about who's the greatest basketball player. Everybody wants to say Jordan. I'll challenge you with Russell or with Oscar Robertson's career, et cetera, et cetera. Gretzky's the greatest hockey player. I think a lot of people agree to that. But Jack's the best. Jack is the best golfer of all time. And at 75, 29 years removed from the last time he won one of the big-time tournaments, to see him just go out there in front of people and show his brilliance, even if it's a par 3 course, even if it's an exhibition, we don't get that. We're not watching Gretzky at age 65 go out there and go 5-hole on a goalie. We're just not. And that's the beauty of this game. It's timeless and that's why the Masters, Rich, is such a unique sporting event. People always get on us for the place and the flowery language and the emotion of it. If you haven't been there and you don't get it, that's fine. But you need to experience it before you criticize it. Because when you're there, the best people who've ever played the game are there, and it represents the continuation of the history, and that doesn't happen in any other sport like that. So to be there and see that and be on the air for Jack with a hole-in-one, that was, without a doubt, a career highlight for me. And
when you mentioned the greatest of all time, certainly by this point of his career, after what he did at Augusta of many places, we thought Tiger Woods would have surpassed Jack by this point in his career.
Yeah.
But he's most decidedly not, although he had a much better showing this week than many people thought. And then comes the concept that he popped a bone back in his hand after his club. It was just a bizarre sort of end to what appeared to be a nice comeback week for Tiger Woods. What do you think, Mike?
Right. I happen to do that on a regular basis, Rich, during my golf rounds. If bones come out, I'm a doctor. No, let's get past that. Okay, he kept playing. Let's hope there's not significant damage to the wrist going forward, and set the comeback back a little bit. I thought what he did was shocking to me. I rarely doubt Tiger because we've seen him, when doubted, perform so well. But given the fact that he hadn't finished 72 holes in a real event since the Open Championship the prior summer, and he hadn't played in 9 weeks, and the last time we saw him play, he couldn't hit a pitch or a chip with any confidence. Not only does he finished his top 20, and his pitching and chipping was the strength of his game, which it used to be 10, 15 years ago. And that's because he worked at it, Rich. He wasn't going to come back and play until he was sure that he had the confidence in that part of his game, and he did. Now the question will be, can he hit shots that turn right to left with comfort? I think he moved the ball left to right more comfortably, a little bit off on the right to left shots, but this was a huge building block. I would say it's a grade B- to B for the week, and it's a lot more than I thought he was going to do. So for the sport, in addition to Spieth and McIlroy, Nicklaus playing well, if Tiger can get back in the mix, might have a decent golf summer coming.
Yeah, no doubt. What's your next gig, Mike? What's next on the Tirico docket?
NBA playoffs. We sit and watch Wednesday night, all the games, until we figure out where we're going on Friday morning. It's a good time, and I'll get to sit next to the great Hubie Brown for the next 6 or 8 weeks and call playoff games.
Unbelievable. And then in the next 10 days, I fully expect the NFL schedule to come out, so maybe we'll catch up when the Monday night schedule hits. 10 years for you.
It'll be good to know where we're spending our falls, isn't it? I love that.
Absolutely. Mike, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Great seeing you on SportsCenter for the first time in a dozen years. Love everything that you do, but you knew that already.
But same here. But I'd much rather be on the show with your guest host, your wife. It's far more interesting conversation.
Listen, Mike, I understand. You've done far more broadcasts with Susie than I ever have. That's for sure.
That's probably right. At least we've called a bunch of games together. So say hi to the family.
I will do that. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. You take care. That's
Bye, buddy.
You bet. That's Mike Tirico.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.